Hey, what's up, guys? It's Grayson from leadcadence.com. Welcome to another episode of Frequently Asked Questions Friday. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking about something that's come up a number of times in the last few weeks, and that is Google's algorithm update. So the question we're going to be answering today is, how is Google's mobile-friendly algorithm update going to affect my business? So let me read off what Google's official statement about this was, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it in depth. So this is from Google's Webmaster Central blog, and so this is a blog that Google publishes themselves. So this is from late February, and this is what they say. So I quote: "Starting April 21st, we will be expanding our use of mobile friendliness as a ranking signal. This change will affect mobile searches in all languages worldwide and will have a significant impact in our search results. Consequently, users will find it easier to get relevant, high-quality search results that are optimized for their devices." End quote. So Google's making it very clear that if you want your website to rank well in the search engines now, especially on a mobile device, that your website needs to be mobile friendly or mobile optimized. So I'm going to show you a little bit about what that means, how to check to see if your website is mobile optimized, and what to do about it if it's not. So let's hop in and I'll show you a couple examples. All right, so here we are on my desktop computer, and here's a really simple way to see if your website is mobile optimized. So this is my main Lead Cadence homepage, and you can see most everything is laid out pretty normal. Most of the things, like say these icons, are left or right. But when I go over here and I grab the edge of this browser screen, and this will work in Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, any browser that you're using, just grab the side of it and start to change the size of the screen. And you'll see the website respond, slightly change the layout. So if it's slightly smaller, this is probably what it would look like on an iPad or some sort of tablet. But as it gets smaller, you'll see the layout changes in order to make the font still readable. So now all the icons are stacked on top of each other, the recent work stacked on top of each other. So the layout goes to a vertical layout instead of all being side by side. So it's still the exact same website, but depending on the size of the viewport, or if you're viewing it on tablet or mobile device, it's going to rearrange that content differently. So that's a simple way to see if your website is mobile optimized or not. There's another thing you can do, is you can go to Google's mobile friendly website guide. And there's a lot of resources here, but one of the things that's on here is to check if your website is mobile friendly. And don't worry, I'll put the links to these in the show notes so you can test your own site as well. But you pretty much just go here and enter a web page to see if it's mobile optimized. So I know that my homepage is, or I know that my website is, but I'm going to type in an old website that I built many years ago and that I know is not mobile responsive. Now that it's done scanning, we can see that it is definitely not mobile friendly. It makes it pretty obvious that it doesn't pass their test. Specifically, the text is too small to read, links are too close together, mobile viewport's not set, content's wider than the screen. So it gives you a little example of what it would look like if it was on a mobile phone. So yeah, that'd be pretty impossible to read. Not a great user experience. So a website like this is going to have a harder and harder time ranking well just because it is not mobile friendly. And the last point I want to make about this is in regards to mobile SEO. So the whole reason that Google's publishing this update is to make it very clear that if you don't follow these guidelines, that your site is not going to rank well in the search engines. So essentially you're undoing any sort of good SEO that you've built up until now. And unfortunately, most people still view SEO, or search engine optimization, as some sort of dark art, scammy let's game the system sort of process. And unfortunately, that there are people out there that do that, but for the most part, good SEO is just a series of best practices that you can implement on your website according to the guidelines that the search engines put out that will help you rank better in the search results. And Google's very explicit about the sort of guidelines or the best practices that they expect to see if you want your website to rank well. So this is on Google's own website. This is their mobile SEO section, and they cover a lot of different points that if you want to rank well, you need to do these things. So for example, they say you need to avoid these common mistakes like blocked JavaScript, CSS, and image files, unplayable content, mobile-only 404s, irrelevant crosslinks, slow mobile pages. So all these things you need to make sure aren't happening on your website if you want them to do well. Another thing is that, let me just dig in here to your mobile configuration. There are a number of ways to build a mobile website. And Google is pretty explicit about which one they want. So for example, here they say there's 3 different ways to do it that they recognize: responsive design, dynamic serving, and separate URLs. However, Google makes it very clear that responsive design is Google's recommended design pattern. So even though there are other ways to make a mobile website, there's really only one correct way in order to get Google's blessing in order to rank well. So mobile SEO does not need to be some sort of lockbox where we don't know exactly what Google wants us to do. They're pretty explicit about the best practices that we need to follow. So where do you go from here if you find out that your website is not mobile friendly? Well, building websites and building mobile responsive websites more specifically is something that we can help you out with. And considering that this deadline has come up pretty quick, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people scrambling to make sure that their website is updated. So what we've done is we've put together a page on our website called Schedule a Website Audit. And this is a place where you can go and request for us to review your website, set up a time to meet with us, and we'll go over and tell you some of your options about how you can bring your website up to these best practices. So the website, the URL is leadcadence.com/website audit. And again, I'll put these links in the show notes. But what it'll ask you to do is to pick your time zone, pick a date that's good for you to talk with us. This integrates with our calendar. And then it'll also give you a little survey of your information, website URL, what you're interested in, and all that sort of thing. Okay, so that's all for this week. Thanks for watching. If you got something out of this video, hit the like button below, share it with your friends. And if you're ready to bring your website up to these mobile-friendly best practices, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to speak with you. All right, guys, have a great Friday. We'll see you next week.